Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. It is finally here. Today's the ultimate finale video for my Pan Those Eyeshadow series for 2023. And I'm really excited to wrap up this project for the year and just take a little bit of a break just for a few weeks before I get into the new year of panning. So this is a special project in my heart because it is the project that got me interested in filming videos and was my first panning project endeavor. So I've always loved it. I've always loved watching it. And it's always such a fun, creative way to play with eyeshadows and create looks that I probably wouldn't have created otherwise. I've been doing quite a few painting projects this year, so my attention has been spread out pretty evenly across those projects. And as a result, I didn't hit as many pans as I did last year in this project, but I still made a lot of great progress and played with a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And I'm excited to share with you not only my update for this month on the 5 shadows that I've been working on, but I'm also going to share with you some of my favorite looks that I've created in the past month using these shades, as well as my new pan percentage. And I'm also going to wrap up this video, this big finale, by sharing with you every single eyeshadow palette that I've used in this project over the course of the year and all the pans that I've hit. I don't know how in depth I'll go, but I want to just recap the whole year and give you some numbers and data because you know that's my favorite part about making these videos and tracking my makeup collection. And I just love seeing my palettes getting more and more used as I've been going through this journey. So without any further ado, let's get into this video. But before we do, please give a moment to give this video a quick thumbs up. And if you haven't already, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to this channel. Let's get right into the video. I'll warn you now by saying this was not my best month for Pan Those Eyeshadows, but I still was able to make a little bit of progress and I'm pretty content with that because I was just getting burnt out by the end of the year and I had so many things that I was really pushing on that some of these more difficult shades fell by the wayside. And that brings me to my Pastel Dreams palette. I've been working on the pale blue shimmery shade in here called Peekaboo. Here is that swatch of Peekaboo, and while it is such a fun and mesmerizing shade, I've been finding some difficulty during this time of year. I have tried to wear it in like some icy, cool tone, wintry looks, but we're still technically in fall, and I've really been trying to enjoy the fall colors while I can, so it just wasn't the best time of year to really dive into those icy looks, but I had fun with it when I did use it. This shade's been in the project for 3 months, but I haven't made a ton of progress on it, sorry to say. Here's what it was looking like when I first brought it into the project. I used it 6 times during the first month, and here's what it was looking like then. Unfortunately, I only reached for it 2 more times in that next month, making for 8 uses total. Here's what it was looking like last month. And in the past month, I did my darndest, but I only reached for it 4 times, making for 12 uses total. And here's what Peekaboo is looking like today. And I'm hoping that you will see a slightly deeper dip in this shadow, but I am not anywhere near to pan. When I hit pan on Peach for the Stars, I think I did it in about 19 or 20 uses. So I definitely could just reach for this one a few more times and try and meet that goal, but I'm going to let myself roll it out. And that doesn't mean I won't reach for this shade in the future now that I know it's here and how beautiful it is. I mean, I always did, but I didn't really fully appreciate it and get to know it. The possibility is very high that I'll be reaching for that shade in the near future when I feel inspired to. But for now, we are going to roll out this shade and just be happy that this palette got some good use this year. This next shade comes from my Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I've been working on the very pale pink shade in here called Cherish. I do have Cherish in my look today and most likely almost every single day that I've been wearing makeup in the past month. I should say the past 3 months because that's how long I've been working on this shade. I use it every single day to set my eyeshadow primer and to just brighten up my inner corner, and I've actually found I really like it for that purpose. So here's what Cherish looked like when I first brought it into the project. I reached for it 13 times during the first month. Here's what it was looking like. I reached for it 22 additional times in the next month, making for 35 uses total, and here's what it was looking like then. And I couldn't believe I didn't have pan on it after those 35 uses because I was using it quite generously. I used it an additional 19 times in the 3rd month, making for 54 uses total, and here's what it's looking like today. And yes, you are correct in what you are seeing. There is no pan in sight, 54 uses. I'm amazed. The mattes on these Huda Beauty palettes are just never ending. They are very firmly pressed and quite pigmented, and they're great for the value, but not so great when you're trying to pan them. So no pan on this one still, which is disappointing, but I am not complaining because I have just loved reaching for this palette. It is so fun to play with. I have reached for most shades in this palette while it's been out in this project, And I've also have a few of these eyeshadows in my look today. I kind of tried to feature this palette today just because I really haven't given myself a chance to do that yet. So I have Cherish, of course, all over the lid to set my primer. And then I used Radiate. Actually, I didn't use Radiate because I used another shade in this project that's very, very similar to that, but it was the vibe of Radiate. And then I deepened it up with Precious and then used this Mantra to smoke out my liner. And I have Abundance all over the lid with another shade just a little bit in the outer corner. So yeah, it was pretty. I like it. I'm really feeling the cool tone these days, and I just wanted to like really embrace that for this video for all of you. So I hope you like the look, and I just love this palette, and I highly recommend it if you are interested in trying out a Huda Beauty formula. This is a great one. I almost put off filming this video until I hit Pan and Cherish because I know it's close. Like that pan is so deep, but I didn't want to wait any further. I just wanted to get this project wrapped up so I could kind of close that chapter and give my mind a little bit of a break until the new year. So that is all for this one. It's going to roll out, but that doesn't mean I'm going to like stop working on this. I might track it for you and show an update on it for my intro video in January. Let me know if you're interested in doing that. Otherwise, I might just like pan it naturally, just like continue to reach for this during the winter month and enjoy it. And if a pan comes through that, then great. But if not, I'm not sweating it. I'm just enjoying my makeup collection right now. This next eyeshadow comes from my BH Cosmetics XO The Remix palette. And yes, she is very old and dingy because she's very well loved. Okay, I've had her for many years and it's been a while since I've cleaned my palette. So maybe I should do that. Kind of a New Year refresh, just kind of wipe them all down. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Anyways, here's what Bestie looked like when I first rolled it into the project 2 months ago. I reached for it 8 times during the first month, and here's what it was looking like then. It had a nice little dip going in it. I knew I had a few more uses on it before I hit pan, but I didn't know that after just one more use, I would hit pan on Bestie. And here's what it's looking like today. This is actually after 10 uses total. I used it 2 more times since the last month. 1 to hit pan, and then 1 to just slightly expand it. And this palette is so easy to pan. The pans are very shallow, and I've considered using this as my Pan That palette for 2024. It's one of the options I have going on in my brain, but I'm just not ready to commit to a Pan Those eyeshadows, at least not as of yet. But if I was going to, this could possibly be that palette. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I have a few other in my mind as well. I was thinking about this one or the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. That palette's just so huge though, and it would be a lot of work. It'd be a big project. I'm gonna check and see when this palette was released so I can focus on the older one if I do decide to do that. But I'm not saying I have decided to do that. I'm thinking about it. Let me know what you think. So that means I have another pan to add to my pan percentage and another pan in this palette. I now have 7 pans in this palette out of the 18 shades. So we've got a nice little head start, something to think about. But for now, I'm just happy with that pan and Bestie. This next shade comes from my ColourPop She's a Rainbow palette. This palette has been in my project 3 separate times this year, which is too many, okay? Like, I need a little bit of a break from this palette. It's good because the color in here helps to inspire me and push me to be creative, but I have other palettes that never got rolled in at all, which is annoying. So what I think I'm gonna do next year is make a setting on my random generator that I use that there won't be any possible re-rolls for palettes that come into the project. I think that should work. Hopefully it like saves that information in my app when I'm not using it because, you know, a lot of time goes by before I reach for that app. So hopefully that'll help me get more use on a variety of palettes next year. But back to this one. I've been working on the shade Lookin' Fresh in this palette, which is like a very pale green shade. Here it is in the swatch. And I'm telling you, I've struggled with this shade. It's just not really screaming fall to me, that is for sure. It's much more of a spring vibe, and it's not really feeling December at all either. Like maybe if I rolled this in like February or March, like I would really enjoy reaching for this, but this past couple months, I have not felt it at all. It's been in the project for 2 months, and I'm sorry to say that I didn't make much progress on it. So here's what it was looking like when I first rolled it in. I reached for it 3 times only in the first month. And here's what it was looking like after those 3 uses. I doubt you'll see any difference at all. And in the past month, well, we didn't do much better. I reached for it 1 additional time, making for 4 uses total. And here's what Lookin' Fresh is looking like today. And I don't think you'll notice any other difference from that 1 additional use. But this is another one that I'm just like happy I got to use at least a couple times. I'm totally fine with not getting a lot of use on it at this point in my year and in my project. I'm just like tired and okay with rolling this out without getting much progress on it or hitting that 30 use goal over 3 months of use that I typically like to hit. We did that for every other shadow. So this one's rolling out. It's the end of the year. It's the end of the project. And I'm sure we'll come back to it at another time. Again, when I feel inspired to reach for it, when I want a pastel green, not when like I'm forced to reach for it. And the last shade I've been working on is from my KVD Shade and Light Eye Palette. This one also came in twice this year. So did my GiveMeGlow Pastel Dreams. A lot of repeat palettes. So I brought in the shade Lazarus, and I've been working on it for 2 months. So here's what Lazarus was looking like when I first brought it into the project. I reached for it 8 times during the first month, and here's what it was looking like after those 8 uses. I was starting to see a slight disturbance in the pan, but nothing dramatic. In the past month, I reached for it 12 additional times, making for 20 uses total. And here's what Lazarus is looking like today. And I hope you'll see a nice little dip is starting to form in this pan. And I really, really do love this eyeshadow color. I think it is really easy to wear. And like I said, I've really been enjoying the cool tone eyeshadow looks. And this first gray toned transition shade is just perfect and so easy to reach for and easy to use. I have this in my look today as my first transition shade, and I've had it in many, many looks during the past month. Well, at least 12, right? And there's Lazarus in the swatch. Lazarus as well, I'm going to maybe reach for it a couple more times during the month of December and maybe update on it for you for January, but it's not officially in this project anymore. And come January, I'm doing a whole refreshing reroll for sure. So another palette that just didn't quite meet the criteria, but here we are at the end of the year, and I'm just happy that I got a little bit more use on this one because this one's getting pretty old in my collection as well, but still a goodie. So here is my finished color palette. I only had one pan here in Bestie, and so close on these two, especially this one. These two, well, I kind of failed, but I did get uses on them, and I'm happy with that. And now I get to move on from this round of Pan Those Eyeshadows. I'm not going to be rolling in any new shades, as you know, but I am going to share with you my new pan percentage. So not only did I hit that pan in my ShaneXO Remix palette in Bestie, I also got a pan for my Deck of Panning series and an eyeshadow I was working on there, as well as one more pan in my Pan Those palette series for the year. So if you would like to see either of those series, I'll link the playlist right up here, and you can check them out if you haven't already. They're always a lot of fun and just more painting content for your pleasure. So adding those 3 new eyeshadow shades, I now have my final pan percentage of 2023. When I started this year, I had 466 individual shades of eyeshadow, and of those 466, I had pan in 12.02% of them. Now, last month, my pan percentage was up to 22.32%, and I was ready for that final push just to see how much higher I could get it. I was already very satisfied with that number, but adding those 3 new pans to my pan percentage, I now have pan on 107 out of the 466 eyeshadows that I started the year with, bringing my pan percentage to 22.96%, which is less than 1 pan away from 23%. So I'm gonna round it up and say I hit 23% this year, because I'm pretty sure I'll hit pan and Cherish if I just try a little bit. And I'm very, very impressed with myself. I increased my pan percentage by 11%, and I didn't do it all in this project. Of course, I did a lot of panning in my Pan Those palettes. I panned 2 separate palettes with many, many pans to hit in one of them. And then I also have been doing the Project Level Up, and then here and there, even an eyeshadow in the Deck of Panning. So a lot of work went into this pan percentage jump, and I just feel really accomplished with all the love that I've been able to give on my eyeshadows this year. And I only purchased 1 eyeshadow palette the whole year, which I actually feel very proud about. So good job for me resisting. Honestly, there hasn't been that much release that I'm really excited about, but all the same, the pressure is out there to really like buy everything that comes out, or at least like a lot of things, and I resisted as best I could. And the one that I bought, I do not regret at all. I really, really love that palette. It was the Odin's Eye Jewels and Gem palette. Mwah, love it. Now let's talk about some of the favorite eyeshadow looks I created using these shades over the past month. But I always want to remind you that I'm also using shades from other projects in these looks. So it's a real ramshackle collection, but it's also just fun to share my eyeshadow looks with all of you. So this one definitely has Cherish all over the base, and then I probably used it as my first transition because it is like more of a pinky mauvey look, and I have worn a lot of those tones in the past month, and every time I did, Cherish was really highlighted, even more than it was on like a regular day when I was just using it to set my eyeshadow primer. This look is a very pretty look. I loved how this look came out. This is actually what I wore on Thanksgiving Day, and I used Lazarus all through the crease to have a very cool toned blend. And then I topped that with more of a warm tone shimmer on the lid. And I loved that contrast between the warm and the cool browns. I thought it was really, really pretty. This look I wore to Disneyland, and this is another example of where I used Lazarus. I decided to do a very like gray toned silver type look with the red lip because we were going there for the holiday season. And I really love how this look turned out. I think Lazarus really went well with those silver tones. And you just get to see fun pictures of me at Disneyland here. So here's another picture from Disneyland. I wore this look with another Christmas themed outfit, and it's more like a cranberry toned look. And I definitely, of course, have Cherish all over the lid here. And I might even have Bestie in this look. I think I do as that like pink transition shade. At least I hope I did. If not, I definitely use Bestie in that way multiple times. This look I really enjoyed. I think this is maybe the last time I used Bestie, or maybe I'm using my blush palette here, but I love how this look turned out. I used the pink toned in Bestie along with my pink blushes. I believe maybe the Jackie Aina ABH palette was in there as well. And then I also have Peekaboo, this one here on that inner corner, just to bring that pop of blue with the purples, with the pinks. And I'm pretty sure I have like an iridescent duochrome. Are they the same word? I don't know if I'm like repeating myself when I say those two words together, but I have a duochrome shade from the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette all over the lid, which I played with a lot this month as well. And I just loved this one. I pulled up my pink coat just to finish the look. Here's a very like simple work look that I want to share with you. I have Lazarus in the crease here, again, as like a cool toned base, and then paired it with some greens and bronzes. Here's another cool toned eyeshadow look that I used Lazarus with as the first transition, and I also paired that with Gunmetal from my Penless palette series from the Lorac Mega Pro 2, and I really like how this one worked out. I wore it with like a black and white turtleneck and like a beret and wide leg pants and this like poncho, and I felt very Parisian, very chic, and I was feeling the makeup and the look that day. This is another look with Lazarus all through the crease and Peekaboo in the inner corner, and I think I have like a cool toned shade like taupey shimmer all over the lid. And this is another example of when I tried to incorporate Peekaboo into a more wearable look for work. This is a really fun, colorful look that I created. I think this is the only time that I used Lookin' Fresh during the whole month. I have it heavily on the inner part of my crease, like all through there. And then I also added a little bit more depth with the blue shade. So it's a very greeny blue, and then I blended that with other pinks and purples and just did this kind of like mermaid inspired look. I was just feeling very soft and pastel, and again, cool toned that day. And I wore it at home with some overalls and again, that same striped turtleneck, which I love. I love that turtleneck. I love that it's turtleneck season. It's my favorite time of year. And this one definitely doesn't highlight my those eyeshadow shades at all, but they are there. I have Cherish all over the lid and in the inner corner area to brighten it a little bit. And then I have Lazarus in the crease, topped with, again, like more warm tone shimmers on the lid, which I think that contrast of cool and warm is very nice. I think I already said that, but it works. And I like kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit with it. So those are all of my eyeshadow looks. I hope you enjoyed some of them. Maybe you are inspired by them and you want to try a similar look. If you do, send it to me. I would love to see it. Like at me on Instagram, which is at Jessiquita Banana with a P. And my personal one is Jessiquita Banana with a B. So if you want to follow me in either of those, please do. I love to share fun things, mostly videos of my kitty cats because they're so adorable. You're welcome in advance. So that is all for my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. But now let's get into a very quick, I'm going to try and do this fast, Pan Those Eyeshadows recap for 2023. Buckle in. I don't know if this is redundant, but I just think it's fun to kind of see them all in succession. First pan I hit was in the e.l.f. Jalapeno palette. It was the green shade, number 3, and this was a rollover from 2002, so I hit it in January of this year. And that was the first one I hit after 7 uses. The next shade was also a rollover from 2022, I believe. It was the shade Hold Me Down Metallic from the ColourPop She's a Rainbow palette, and this one I hit pan on in 17 uses. And that one was quite fun to pan. The shimmers in here are definitely easier than the mattes, that is for sure. The ABH Sultry palette came in, and I hit pan on Teak. Really beautiful shade. I loved panning this one. That one took me 15 uses. And then we have the ColourPop High Society palette, and I hit pan on this first shade here, Diamond Cut, and that one also took me 15 uses. The Makeup Geek Mini MUA palette came in for the first time, and I hit, nope, it was for the second time, and I hit pan on Artemis, this first shade here. That one took me 27 uses to hit pan on. I got to work on this adorable Hello Kitty palette from ColourPop. This is Pineapple Cake, and I hit pan on this shade here to the core. That was after 25 uses. Okay, this palette's been through the ringer, but I've been holding on to it just for this purpose. It's definitely going in the garbage after this video. This is my ColourPop Sorbet Quad, or it was my ColourPop Sorbet Quad. Now it's garbage. But I hit pan on the shade Glazy, which is no more. It broke apart and fell apart, and I think I ended up mixing it in with the lotion and using it that way, but I hit pan on it all the same. And then I also worked on the shade in here, Extra Syrup, which was this shade, but it shattered, broke, and fell apart and is now in the garbage. So I didn't hit pan on that one, but it was in the project and I used it 15 times before I eventually gave up on it. I hit pan in this little quad L'Oreal Avant-Garde Azure palette in this first shade. Now I have 2 pans in that one. And I also hit pan on this matte from the ColourPop She's a Rainbow palette, Fine China, which I was amazed I did. I definitely honed in with a detail brush on that one to make it happen, but we got there and it took me 17 uses. I hit pan on my favorite shade in the Alma Reina del Caribe palette, which is El Malecon. That was a fun one to work on. I reached pan on that one after 26 uses. And I hit another pan in my ColourPop The Child palette, Droid Protocol, the dark brown shade. I reached for that one 40 times and that is what got me pan. I think I used this as mostly a liner if you couldn't tell. And I hit my first pan ever in my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I love this palette and I kind of want to pan this one as well. Maybe focus on it next year. That's another one of my options in the back of my brain. Another one I want to look up where it's from, but I hit pan on this cream tone shade. So not the most exciting shade, but hey, it's the first pan I ever hit in here and it feels good. And I hit that after just 20 uses, but it already had a huge dip in it when I first brought it in. And I hit pan on a ColourPop Super Shock shadow. This is the shade Coconut, and this one took me 6 uses. It's a very small pan, but when you're painting blues, you are satisfied with a small pan, okay? I also hit pan on Samael, which is in my KVD Shade and Light palette. Is that the one? Yeah, Samael, right here. I used that one 30 times and I hit pan on it on my 30th use. And the last pan I hit for the year was just this month. This was the Shaniqso Remix palette in Bestie, as you already know, but hey, for good measure, there she is. And I don't want to leave out all those palettes that I didn't hit pan on. They get to be included in the wrap up too. So I already mentioned Glazy that broke and gave up on after 15 uses. In the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, you already know about Cherish that I used 54 times without hitting pan, but I also worked on Radiate this year and I used that one 30 times over 3 months with hardly even a dent to show for it. Another Huda Beauty fail, I reached for Karma in this palette and I also reached for that one 30 times before rolling it out. And at least this shade has a little bit of a dip to show for it, but not huge. These ones are just so hard to pan. We already know I didn't hit pan on Pika Blue after 12 uses, but I also focused on Twinkle Twinkle this month, and that one was rolled out after 30 uses without a pan, but a nice little dip to show, I think, if you can see it. It's kind of hard with these really pale shades. I was happy with it. And again, looking fresh, just 4 uses, not even close to any progress on that one. And Lazarus as well. We just did our darndest. I think if I had another month with this one, I would have hit pan on it, but I'm just glad it got good use. So here are all the palettes that I've focused on this year in the Pan Those Eyeshadows project. In total for my Pan Those Eyeshadows project for 2023, I focused on 23 shades, which is so funny. What a funny little coincidence. I love that. And of those 23 shades, I was able to hit pan in 15 of them, leaving just 8 that I wasn't able to reach that goal with, but still got a lot of use on. So I feel very satisfied with that. I also reached for 16 eyeshadow palettes using this project, as well as 1 eyeshadow single. And I just love how much variety this Pan Those Eyeshadows project brings into my life. I just know that these palettes would not have gotten as much attention if I hadn't have done this project. So it's so much fun. I love being inspired to do creative looks using different shades, and I definitely plan on continuing this project in the new year, as well as some other projects, I'm sure. It's just so much fun for me. So thank you so much for coming along on this panning journey. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up before you leave. I thank you so much just for being here. It really means so much to me. If you've been here since the beginning, I think this is my 3rd year of doing panning content on YouTube. Leave me some sparkle hearts in the comments. I would love to see who you are. And if you're new here, thank you so much for finding me. I hope you enjoy my content and let me know what you'd like to see more of in 2024. Until then, I hope you have a great holiday season with your friends and loved ones, and I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, bye.